Hey kids, I'm not really sure why I'm making this video, but I am, and it's for fun. I think musicians and people who have to deal with cables, like guitar cables and vocals and stuff like that, would appreciate this video. It's going to be partially narration of stuff I've already shot and kind of edited. Here you see me putting the keyboard out. I'm going to set up my rig to transfer all of my signals from cables, snakes that have been bundled together using nylon wrap, and it helps manage cable clutter on stage, keeping groups of cables together and then wrapping it with nylon wrap. My rig has grown to be kind of complex. I have two pedal boards. One is basically routing and my lead guitar control. And the second pedal I'm plugging in is the looper. It's the older looper, and I've added a set of pedals at the bottom for control. So it's pretty complicated and wired and uses a lot of internal trickeration. Here's my keyboard. The keyboard here is programmed into the iPad to control the mixer and to make sounds and other cool things that iPads do, like play solitaire on set break. I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm setting up the sustain pedal, which is not needed for the transition from Snake to this new format. Now, the bundled snake you're going to see here in a minute is been with me for about 3 years now. Oh, first I'm going to bring out what I'm transitioning into to give you a sense of scale. Sorry about that. Again, I don't know who the hell would want to watch this video, but I think you'll have fun when you see it all come together. So you slide it up, and this gives you an idea. That strip of plastic is about 2 meters in length, and I've already installed an LED light, as you can see here. Now here, I'm going to bring out my older snake. This snake has been with me for a minute, and it carries my guitar line, my 3 looper lines, my keyboard line, and my vocal line. And I believe the longest cable on here is 15 feet. So to give you an idea of how long I planned mine to work, you'll see that the end of the new device over there, cable chain I think it's called, you'll see it's the exact length of all of my cables. So for a lot of our shows, our mixer is right there, and it's ugly. Well, I mean, it's not ugly, but I just don't like having it that close to me. It limits what we can do with larger stages. There's a stage that we have 10 feet of depth, and if front of stage, from the front of my carpet to the back of that cable is 6 foot total, and that carpet is 3 foot. That's not a lot of space. We look like, we're underutilizing the space that we have available to us. So I created a larger snake using the same idea, and it's cable wrapped kind of to length. So I'm going to take this one down, which is basically just, you can see how fast having a bundled selection of cables is in getting set up and torn down, because now that cable is done. I can just set it off to the side and, wrap it up, throw it in a box, we're done. So instead of running individual lines and trying to take care of them, I also color code the end of all of my lines. So you'll see on my pedal board that there's, red to red, blue to blue, and everything will work the way it's supposed to. Especially since the keyboard is also designed to control the mixer, it's color coded as well, but in relation to the mixer, so they're not always the same code of color. So you see here I have 2 snakes on one. One is just for the 3 lines that go to the looper, and then the overall snake that carries all 6 lines back to the mixer. And even though it's in a snake, I still have to kind of untangle these to get to that, to get to this one, so I can use this one here. My vocal line, you can see it's really, really long, and it's for a reason you'll see here in a minute. As we put it together, I want to have as much cabling hidden as possible so the audience's experience isn't a mess of cables and technology. What they see is 2 guys making a whole lot of fun music happen right in front of them. Because the only thing really pre-recorded are the drum tracks. I programmed those in Logic ahead of time, and then everything else is looped live to fill it in. And it's also set up so that each line, the looper's guitar, the looper's bass, and the looper's drums are all on separate lines, both for the front of house and for any festivals or events where front of house is going to be doing it. So I'm checking the length. I'm happy with it. I see how it extends a good, currently maybe 4 or 5 feet, 4.5 feet off the back of that trough. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to speed it up, showing how unwrapping, and here's another great point, if a cable goes bad, you have to unwrap everything in the snake to replace the cable and wrap it back. And if you haven't done this before, it's a very enlightening meditation to experience. It takes a very long time and a lot of patience. And no matter how hard you try, the bundled snakes will end up creating their own kinks and twists, no matter how hard you try to keep them straight. With this new trough idea, all the cables remain parallel to each other, even when packed. So when you roll this up at the end of the night and unroll it at the next gig, everything will be exactly where it was the night before. And I really appreciate that aspect. It also speeds up deployment even further than a snake because I don't have to align it. It's already aligned. And when we're done, towards the end of this video, I'm sure there will be an addendum where I add CB's cables to this system. Now, as you can see, there's already something in that trough, and I'll explain that while the poor bastard is unwrapping another 15 feet of cable. The white strip you see there is actually an LED rope light, and it's a 2-meter length of rope, and it's designed basically, well, it's twofold that are in one, really. It looks cool, and it's a safety feature, or it's a really cool safety feature. Maybe that's a better way to put it. It's set to sound activation right now, but on dark stages you'll know where my cables are. That even with snakes, that's another downside with snakes versus using this trough idea while I go get the wire cutters to unclip this snake, is snakes, because they inherently develop their own kinks and twists and such, they're easy to trip over. And since I like a clean stage and everything is black so you don't see it, that's part of the problem. So it's easy to trip on, step on, mess up, whatever. Now, it's not recommended that you walk on that trough, but if you bump into it or accidentally realize you've stepped on it and pull off, or just get over it, it'll handle it for a second. Again, I wouldn't, it's not meant to be driven over or, industrially abused in any way. So here, I'm going to start from the signal closest to the trough, and I'm going to run it along the wall closest to my side of the stage. And I'm going to work outward from there. So my vocal line will be the longest, and it will be the furthest inside on the trough, but outside on the staging. And here I'm getting the wire ties, and here's a tip, a recommendation. Put the wire tie around the wire first and get it started. And then put it over the tooth and then cinch it down with a pair of pliers. And then go to the far end, pull a little bit to give it just a hair of tension so it remains straight and parallel in there. And do the same with the zip tie around the cable, slide it around the tooth and cinch it down, and then clip off the tail. And here I'm going to do the 3 lines of the looper as one. I had to give up a couple of teeth for the light, so I decided it would make sense to bundle the 3 looper lines to one tooth. There's plenty of space, believe me. I could put another 6 lines on my side alone and it would still curl up. But I don't need to, so I have plenty of room. There's plenty of room for that LED light to also roll up, curl up just fine. It's one of those fancy color changing lights. It's really bendable and rubbery, and it's kind of expensive, about 35 foot per meter of length. And I'm trying to use international measurements because the company that I'm about to introduce, who makes that trough, is German, I believe. And the company, I might as well. I believe it's pronounced Aegis or Aegis, I guess. igus.com. Here in the description and elsewhere you will find Russell's number in Rhode Island. And if he's not your representative, he will direct you to the appropriate person. But now that he understands and has seen me put this together, because it was, try to explain to the representative who he's normally dealing with large industrial facilities that have sorting machines and massive machines swinging back and forth using these cable guides. And I call up and I say, hey, I need a little help with, maybe you got something that'll do what I need. So it took a few emails to sort of explain what it was I was looking for and a couple of examples, from the website. And he sent me a sample and said, does this work? And I compared it to the set of cables I had in my room and thought, this looks like it could work. So I went ahead and dropped, roughly $200 American or $200 USD on a full set, and that includes 2 meters of the track there, and then brackets for the ends that have the teeth to which you anchor the cables. Here I'm laying in the keyboard line along the same route. And you can see it's really easy to pop it into place and manage where it is in the trough as far as laterally. Because when you roll it up, the length doesn't change. It rolls as part of the chain. That's what's really cool about this design. So everything will remain absolutely separate and manageable. Easily identifiable. And what's cool is that if you need to replace a cable, you just snip those 2 tie lines, right? Zip ties, and lift the cable out of the trough using the same method of getting it in there. It just works in reverse, literally. Super handy that way. If you need to make adjustments in length, meaning say my keyboard line there is a little bit short, I just clip the 2 zip ties and pull it to where I like it and lock it back down again, right? So here I am doing the vocal line which turns out to be a little short on the stage side, and I adjust it later off camera. Using that same method, I just clip the two zip ties, pull the length of cable that I need, and then pull it through the trough taut and cinch down the other side, roll it up, put it in the box, we're done. So now deployment, as you saw with the original snake, is I just laid this in place, and all of my cables color coded and length coded, meaning they're all going where they're going to go. It's a snap setting this up. And here I'm bundling up the end in preparation, because I'm now going to test all of it to fit in the box. But before putting it in the box, I thought I would take a look at it. You can see here the guitar line, the 3 looper lines, the keyboard line and vocal line are all laid out next to each other. On the left side of the trough, the right side of the trough currently has the LED lights. And then at the stage end, you can see the different lengths for the lead guitar, for the 3 looper lines, and for the keyboard and vocals. And when it all wraps up and packed up, it sits in a little case, nice and tight, simplifying it even further.